appreciate everyone's attendance, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board members have received, actually, quite a bit of okay.
We'll get both sets of minutes for September. We'll do in
Perfect.
October.
Then what about the personnel?
And you'll need to write one in. I've got a third one for a substitute teacher. If you'll write in Ruben Mendez, RUBENMENDEZ. So we'll ask for approval for Ruben Mendez as a substitute teacher.
Do you have a motion by the board?
I'll make the motion to approve Ruben Mendez for,
And do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Next, Kaylee Popovich, 5th/6th cheer coach.
Motion approved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
And Christy Shute, 7th and 8th cheer coach.
Make a motion to approve Christy Shute for the 7th and 8th grade cheer coach.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And motion approved.
Thank you.
Next item this evening would be public comments. Are there any public comments on the agenda this evening? Okay. Now we move on to the 2022 budget adoption.
We had our hearing on the 16th, and so tonight I just need approval from the board to adopt the 2022 budget.
Make a motion to adopt the 2022 budget.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
I'll need two of that Form 4, so that's page number 2.
Got one.
2 of those signed by everybody, and I'll track Darren down to get that too. Item number 5, resolution for the transfer from the education fund to the operations fund. This would be not to exceed $120,000 for calendar year 2022.
Make a motion to approve the transfer of funds.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Those transfers will be done 10,000 each month. Number 6, the rainy day resolution, appropriation reduction. And again, that's so that we can put our entire rainy day appropriation together. And so that reduction is $475,000.
Do you have a motion by the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the rainy day fund not to exceed 120,000 or 20.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
you're-
that's-
Nope, sorry.
number 6.
Sorry,
You got a-
yeah.
I'll second the motion on the rainy day resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All in favor of the approval?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Bus replacement resolution, approval.
Make a motion to approve the bus replacement resolution.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
And last of the resolutions, the capital projects resolution.
Do you have approval by the board?
I'll make a-
I'll make a motion to approve the capital projects resolution.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion approved.
Next in your packet, page number 7, is the first reading of the board meeting schedule for next calendar year. So that's for information purposes, and we will look through that and then revisit that next month. And that gets us to the, I've asked a couple visitors here, Dick Booker and Bob Harper from H&T Electric, who you will recall provided us a quote. And Dick is here to, so that we can have a discussion on the possibility of lighting our baseball and softball field. We'll revisit that one. Virtual. So you can see what H&T brought to us, probably 2 months past, I bet, since you brought. There you go. So, what we, the board and I, we've had a little bit of discussion about this. We just kind of wanted to hit the reset button, kind of start from the beginning, get the right people together. Obviously, it's township property, so Dick Booker needs to be involved in the discussion. And I asked Bob here to help us get a little more in depth with the quote provided and answer any questions the board might have. And I want to hear, I'm sure Dick's got questions that he's gonna need information on.
Yeah, obviously the biggest one for me is what, once they would be in place, what's it gonna take to maintain? And I'm sure a big one of that is, you know, obviously how many hours are they gonna run? You know, how often do we use them? The whole shebang. This is pretty nice. I wasn't expecting something detailed like this to, you know, I guess I didn't know how far along the proposal was.
I should do this for a living.
Yeah, you should. And in all that yet, I'm gonna say something that you may not really care for, but it's just on my heart. I would not spend the money. If it were me and I was in you guys' shoes, I love the thought of doing that. I love the thought of having that, because a lot of people don't, but I just wouldn't spend the money that way. That's just a personal opinion. And I know Aaron and I don't see eye to eye on 99% of what we both see together, but you know, I've thought good and hard about that, and I just wouldn't do it. I don't think you guys owe that ballpark or us anything. I don't. I'd save the money, and if the goal is to put parking in here, I'd use the money for paving, getting out what you need to get out, and setting yourself up for the next phase that you guys need to do here.
Well, I appreciate you sharing.
All right. That being said, I mean, yeah, it's cool. You know, I love that. You know, I think it's a neat idea. And I was wondering what, you know, kind of what the pricing was. But
We got, so this was the best quote of 3 that we obtained. The first one being near $500,000. The second one being still north of 400,000, I believe, if I recollect.
Is that muscle lighting?
Well, Musco was the most expensive, I do recall that. And Musco is, what, hot, would you say high end because of name recognition?
Yeah, most college stadiums, professional stadiums, they utilize muscle lighting. So
Yeah.
those school corporations that have a lot of money, they think that they really need that. It's nice stuff, but it is.
And then, do you recall the second quote, name-wise? Okay. So yeah, so the highest quote, Musco, as I'm told, in the state of Indiana, Notre Dame's gonna do business with Musco.
Gotcha.
At the high school level, CMA is gonna do business with
Right.
Musco Lighting.
Chesterton,
Yeah.
just put Musco lighting on
Well,
the, on
Well,
the
you would
junior high
think
field.
Yeah, some of your bigger districts, but
Yeah,
you get the gist on that.
caramel appetite, maybe a caramel appetite in LaPorte County. I mean,
Well,
what you're saying.
expound a little bit, expound. Tell me more of the why behind I wouldn't do it.
I just see there being so many other ways to spend money. So many other things that we could use that would be more beneficial to the entire package of both communities, all three communities, I'm sorry. I just, having done this long enough and having been chewed out long enough and having been, on every angle of it,
Yeah.
I mean, that floor was a wish list
Okay.
that was out here and came about because of a really bad mistake by a former principal at a public meeting and put in what I felt like was handicapping to where we had to have a floor. And then once we had a floor, it's like, yeah, I got a dream of parquet. I got this vision, so if we're gonna have to put a floor anyway. This at least I saw coming and thought long and hard about it, but I know what you guys are up against for the next 5-10 years. I can see it. And that's my heart and that's my opinion, that money could be better spent somewhere else.
And then I like the second part of it. Now I lost where I was going.
As far as the playground, we talked about playground equipment too out there.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Now, where I'm trying to think of what the second part you said. I know, the not owing.
Oh,
Does anybody want to address thoughts on that?
I mean,
I don't feel like it's, we owe you or we owe the ballpark or whatever. We owe kids. Nice for those kids. I mean, the whole reason we redid a lot of stuff out there wasn't for doing it for the township or for the trustee or for the township board. It was to have something nice for the kids to be excited to play on.
and I feel like you guys have done that.
There's other kind of constraints Brian can attest to with softball playing on the Little League field all the time. There's seldom time for practice before dark. We had a game last year that we ended in a tie because it got dark. I mean, there's lights out there would alleviate a lot of issues when it comes to Little League softball conflicts. Softball has a game, Little League has a game. The last 10 years, we've had to cancel at least 4 games a year and move them to a different day that some kids couldn't make because softball had a game out there. This would alleviate that problem. It's something that we talked with Little League that if it comes to fruition, we'll pitch in and help pay the bill. If that's what it takes. I mean, we've got a nice facility out there and it's not going away anytime soon. It's gonna be there for forever. It's still gonna be used by the high school for 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I think it's a good investment to do out there for the kids. I mean, South Central's got football. What's our niche?
Yeah, I would
Why can't
echo,
we make it baseball?
because I can see, I mean, that's a good point that you bring to the table. If that's perception, that we're looking for things to soothe the wounds of moving the high school, I definitely don't feel like we've had any conversations that in that vein.
Yeah.
It is what's best for Tri-Township. So I'm glad that.
Yeah, and it's not like I have the pulse of lacrosse
That's a fair.
on my heart either or in my head.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm just speaking like what it would appear to me, as a taxpayer.
okay,
That's what I'm trying to, that's not the way I'm trying to look at it.
which is good, that's helpful.
Yeah, and I think there's always a cost to conflict and resolving it. And I don't know, that's just, I know one thing, I would have to know, what is this, the approximate cost of this annually? That has to be a topic.
Yeah.
Because if that number's ridiculous, then this isn't even a conversation,
Sure.
in my opinion, because somebody's gonna flip the bill.
Maybe Bob can weigh in a little bit on.
If you run those lights on both ball fields for 4 hours in a night, it's $16.47.
So $20 a night, roughly.
If you run
So your
both
gate
fields.
fees could potentially pay for that.
Yes, but, I mean, the cost is installing the lights and getting lights there, operating lights, they're, it's nothing.
Is that to run both fields?
That's both fields. So it's basically, to run the baseball field, it's about $11.50, and the other one is $5
Per night, right?
for 4
So
hours.
if we had lights
So
out
I
there.
picked a number of 4 hours, I didn't,
Yeah, cause that'll be longer in any event, for
yeah,
the most part.
because we got the end of one and the entire next game, for a professional baseball game in there, at 4 hours.
And I want to speak on behalf of the group, to me, that seems very low. And to speak to why, the type of lights, the advance in technology.
Yeah, they're LED lights, and in this package, it talks about that, and I'm not much of a salesman, so I apologize. Mr. Booper.
No,
I'm not a good salesman. Sorry. But, yeah, they talk about, it's paperwork here, that traditionally, to get that output from lights, the lumen output from those lights, you would need a 3,000 watt light.
Okay.
Well, these lights are 520 watts. So running lights like you used to, when they would shut down and it would take 15 minutes for them to cool down and come back on,
Yeah.
that's just not the way things are anymore.
Right.
So with the LED technology, 89 claims, that's what it costs. I mean, I can't tell you that that's the exact cost of it. I have to trust these people that sell these every day.
gotcha.
And that was based on 12 cents a kilowatt hour, and I don't know what the rate is. If the school gets a reduced rate, I don't know those sort of things. But that 12 cents is usually a pretty good average.
Right.
How many other schools have you done something similar to this to? How many other schools have you done a project like this that's similar for lighting, for a baseball field, for football field?
The Chesterton Middle School, we did their football field, but these particular lights, I've never put these on. This lighting is, when I get a lighting job, I take the drawings and they go to a design team. This came from the Dave Baker Agency in South Bend because, well, they have a territorial thing. There's a KSA is a company out of Chicago that does this, but usually Dave Baker is a better price. So I send them, I said, look, this is what we're trying to do, and they come up with all this. I didn't put this together. I have a printer.
I mean, my opinion on it is, it's an investment in that ground. It's an investment for the kids. And like Aaron said, why can't we have a very nice facility? It's gonna benefit our children, and the residual benefit will be to the town of La Crosse and the township. The potential of being able to have, a regional game there, for a small 1A school is pretty awesome. I get what you're saying, but I mean, that's my opinion. I think if it could have some bleed off effect to the town of La Crosse, maybe some residual business, I mean, is that the driving point? No. Is it a good side point? Of course. You know what I mean? But I mean, mainly it's for the girls and boys that play softball and baseball. I mean, that to me is the main thing. And I do think that it's worth investing in those fields. They're pretty nice facilities now, and I think that lighting them will take it to the next level. Yeah, and I do put La Crosse on the map as far as athletics is concerned, again, you've got the lead over of, summer tournaments and stuff like that, I think the area would benefit from it, and I think it's a worthy cause invested, and it's long term. This investment isn't gonna be just, for a year or two, the life of these lights are gonna be, I didn't look, but I'm sure it's probably.
50,000 hours.
Yeah,
50,000?
50,000 hours. I mean, that's many
Well,
years for the amount of times they're gonna be turned on, so, you know. So we're investing, from my standpoint, we're investing in the kids and we're investing in the school corporation and the community as a whole, you know what I mean? I mean, we still have to, you know, we're still partners in these three, you know, communities. You know, that's my thought process on it, you know, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
What have you typically seen in something like this? Maybe you don't have this information, but insurance premiums, when you invest $250,000 in a property, and of course you have to insure them for any kind of weather that comes through, what kind of impact would that be in the township?
I don't know that answer. I mean, we put up parking lot lights every day.
Right,
These are just taller parking lot lights.
exactly,
You got angles
yeah. And
It's odd, because I wasn't worried about that part of it all.
I was just thinking.
I just figured I'd take Ron Rosenbaum for breakfast, and I wouldn't have to worry about that part.
For insurance,
Yeah.
yeah. I was thinking for 250,000, somebody's gonna, I'm sure there has an impact of some kind of.
Yeah, it probably would. But I wouldn't see that being as, I would be more concerned about the run than I was, by far.
What, of course, we've worked together once or twice in the last few years, and for me, there's several versions. I think it's important that the whole Tri-Township area works together to try to find out solutions for the kids. And you definitely have to market yourself now more than ever to try to make sure you're giving the best to the kid, making sure we're bringing children, families to this area, make yourself more appealing so you can increase or maintain your ADM count, things like that. So that's what I thought was important for yourself, because I think everybody should be involved and on the same page when we look at projects like this. But again, find a way to market ourselves and make us more desirable when people are looking at planning either where they're going to school or where they're coming to live and all these things. And we do need to look at our township. We have, with addition happening, there's a lot of positive feedback that we're hearing ourselves on the addition, and hopefully new people looking for a home, they see that happening. How do we make our school more desirable to maintain it 10 years down the road? And that's why, as a board, we're looking for feedback from individuals like yourself, that we can kind of make sure we're making the right decisions every day, whether they happen or not. We have to discuss these things to make sure we can find a path forward. And you've been involved for umpteen years, so I think it's important to hear your point of view, and so we can rationalize all these things.
Yeah, one of the driving conversations the board has, and Brian and myself, is kind of trying to create a 5-year strategic plan and keep that being a living, breathing document. So this was one of those things that ended up on as part of our plan. But through our conversations, we've kind of identified three things that we have that we should be able to market. First and foremost being small school and the services we can bring to kids academically. Brian and I talk about this at great lengths. We have the potential to hit that out of the park, and that's our goal, and that's what we're working to achieve. Then we talk about, we've got this gymnasium we're sitting near right now that is statewide known, maybe even beyond that. And so that's, from a physical standpoint, that's one of the other things that we have that can be a marketing thing, is the Tiger Den. And now, with a lot of volunteer work, we've got baseball and softball where we've got IHSA people passing through and saying, this is for a 1A school. If you guys had lights, you could host a regional. Everybody that plays there making the comments how nice it is. It's, for a playing surface, it's one of the best around. No question.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that third piece of things. And since I've been here, this is where I was hoping we'd get to. Having choices of where we spend our money. Yeah, when you're talking about $250,000, it makes everybody go, okay. But we've positioned ourselves because wisely, we didn't throw bad money into an aging old school building. We did the appropriate thing and moved the school But that positions us to make good choices with the funds that we do have. So I feel like this is one of those where I would be further down the path of this, the marketing piece, the thing that we can hang our hat on, that we could impact enrollment. Obviously, moving the school up the road was the big linchpin for us in enrollment for the future. But these two assets that we have here, I think can contribute to that. So,
And don't get me wrong, my heart is, hey, Mom, check out the diamond, man. I love baseball, you know, and have coached forever, so I mean, that's my heart. But keep in mind, I also came in here having no conversation other than with Aaron.
right.
I didn't know Chad's heart,
Mhm.
you know, Tim's.
Right.
And Melanie, I didn't have that. So,
Which is perfect, that's why we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Ground zero, right here.
Yeah.
We're not making any decisions tonight,
right,
the dialogue can continue.
It's unfortunate that, you know, with open enrollment, you have to think about marketing in these different, you know, the academics are always the top, but then you've got these small other areas that could potentially boost enrollment. And I mean, unfortunately, we have to think of this as a business, and we've got to figure out ways to make our facilities, you know, enticing to people that aren't in district that might be wanting to come here, you know, and like he said, the gymnasium here, it's a gem, you know, I mean, this is worth investing in. You know, the ball diamonds to me, again, like I said, that's a great investment, and I feel that it will bleed over to the town of La Crosse and, you know, to Dewey Township, and, you know, it's a plus for everyone, you know, and that, I mean, that's my thought process.
Yeah. And let me throw this caveat out there too. It's not us, the whole point of this isn't trying to change anybody's
Yeah,
mind.
no.
It is everybody to get their thoughts on the table.
Yeah.
no,
You know,
that's all I thought too, is that is, you know, I appreciate that, because, you know, when I sit down with, you know, Spike's got an opinion on everything, and I sit down with my wife, we really don't have a clue, you know, how does Melanie feel? I don't know.
Right.
You know, so, and anything I've said is strictly Dick Booker.
Mhm.
It's not our community, it's not the town, it's my opinion.
Sure.
So,
Again, we've worked together a lot, trying to
Yeah.
watch every single nickel for decades.
gosh, yeah.
So,
So,
I believe any conversation with doubt, doesn't matter if it's lighting or anything, that's a big deal for me. And I get, I want to make sure that, again, we are thinking about the future from our, but we're also thinking about our future financially and making sure that we have the money to spend where we need it. And there's a lot of questions on my mind, of course. One was, again, the township and the impact on you. Another thing for me, it was, I automatically go to the numbers of how much does it cost for every single game. You break out 250 divided by how many years, and then the expense that's associated with that, and then you break how many games can you actually have a year on each one of those diamonds. You break, but then there's the other things that Aaron has mentioned. Okay, what about the summer ball? What about the things we're not using for just the typical softball season, the typical baseball season, but other impactful? The tournaments are one thing, bringing more people to have visibility to the good things happening here in the marketing, but what about, again, if you start summer leagues or co-ed leagues or something like that, also maybe a revenue generators to try to do things, or is PCC even going to buy into having night games? How many other schools are having night games? Are they going to buy into it, getting home later at night because now we have lights? We're going to utilize those things. There's a lot of open questions that need to be considered. You know, kids are already complaining they're already getting home late, so now if you're getting home an hour at 9 o'clock at night because you're using lights, or the impact of that, does that, are parents even going to like that? There's a lot of consideration needs to be thought about.
That had to be a Friday night game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You have to have your games on Friday nights, that way it wouldn't impact school the next day.
correct.
yeah, and if you have tournaments, they're going to be the weekends.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Yeah.
You sit there and you look at like travel ball and stuff, and, you know, the amount, you know, I've got friends that kids are in travel ball, I mean, that's almost a 12-month deal now. I mean, they're traveling all over, you know, and like I said, you know what, the trickle of that could be felt, you know, here, you know, I don't know, it's just.
But I think it's an awesome experience when you drive down 421, you see like the Michigan City field and stuff, and it's all lit up at night. And again, they're using them for co-op ball, they're using them for other purposes, as a community investment, it's not only for the kids. If you could do those kind of things, that's great, but I think there definitely has to be a distinct plan, and everybody's gotta be on the same page for that.
I mean, you can't tell me you can't envision coming from Wanatah to La Crosse, getting around that S curve, and all of a sudden somebody throws lights on out there. It's gonna be something right out of the field of dreams.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know, it just is. And I mean, that gives me goosebumps to think that that's a possibility.
I think I know you're flipping the switch.
Yeah.
And I want to make.
Kevin Dawson.
I'll be honest with you, that was my first thought, and when all this was brought up, was the same reaction you had in the beginning, is, you know, this is really expensive. But then the more Aaron and everyone educated me on, you know, lights being put up and how much we could do with it, and, you know, so much for the kids, so much more for the kids. And also bringing some things into La Crosse, you know, I know don't need to do that, but, you know, it might help, you know, businesses, all kinds of stuff. But I think we do owe it to the kids. I think, and like Aaron had said, you know, we can do tournaments here. And I just think, I don't know, I think it's a good idea now that I've had more people talk to me about it.
I have just as many negatives as I do positives, to your point, and, you know, going through my mind, but I do think if we have the ability to give, we promised during this whole project that we were gonna make sure we kept the school gym, and we made those promises, and I know I haven't said it, none of us have said anything that we don't plan on intending to keep honest and truthful when we spoke about the school edition. But it would be good to give something to La Crosse if we were gonna go down this road. They are losing a school in the future, so how do we make sure that La Crosse has something? So that would be one of my pros. You know, spending $250,000 is hard for me if no matter where this goes, but it would be nice to give something back if they are losing a school. So now what can we do? And that's where I think it's important, all the government entities kind of come together, and how do we make ourselves more desirable? We can go back to the marketing.
I do agree with you, Tim, because you know I have problems spending money too. I just, you know, you look at that number and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, but the more that these guys have talked to me, and I agree with them, absolutely. And, you know, one of the things, first and foremost, it's important to the kids, and we're doing this to upgrade for the kids. So, you know, I'm talking about the school, everything. So we just need to, I think, continue through. Of course, you know, on budget, you know, that's important as well. In your shoes is what I'm saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
That's important,
I appreciate all that.
yeah.
While we're in the conversation, can you think of anything else maybe that we should be asking or considering? Just throwing it out there, I mean.
I agree that field lighting, every time I do one of these schools, I know that they're gonna look at that and be like, wow, there's a lot of money. I mean, and the money is in the equipment. I mean, it's a big job to install these things. We're talking about, I don't recall off the top of my head, I think these are 60 or 70 foot poles. I mean, the parking lot, they're 20 or 30 foot poles. So and these things go on the ground 15, 20 feet. It's a major operation to put these in,
Are these,
which all contributes to the cost.
are steel poles quoted in this?
Sorry. I quoted.
I know that's not a make or break for me, Bob.
No.
Sorry, I don't recall off the top of my head.
I would want to put you on the spot, but you already said that you don't take credit for being a good salesperson, so I'm gonna ask you a question. You're from Dorchester,
I am.
so think of our district here in La Crosse and think about Wanatah and Tri-Township. And just as your opinion, not being from this area, maybe you're from the area, but our community, what is your honest opinion? From what we're talking about and the pros and cons that we're discussing this evening.
Well, it's hard because I don't run my house like I run my business. in my house, I would say there's, actually, I would need, this would go right in garbage, I wouldn't even look at it. My business, I spend, I mean, what's the old adage, you have to spend money to make money. To some point, that's true, but you also, you don't want to be, just spend frivolously. You want to make sure that what you're doing does help enough people here to justify spending $250,000. I mean, I know we're doing a project over here at the water department. I don't recall how much that was, but that was a pretty expensive project for, I think there's 300, right around 300 houses here in La Crosse. I don't know the number off the top of my head for that either. So I mean, sometimes when you're doing bigger projects that are supposed to be better for the whole community, they do cost a lot of money. So I have spending on the fence.
Are there any, I know this is kind of pushing it, are there any grants at all for something like this? It is electrical, and I know there's grants for electrical, but of course, we're not saving, we're adding, but I didn't know if there was actually, just thinking about that, talking out loud.
About 2 weeks ago, the town Hamlet asked me for the same thing for quotes for lights on their ball fields. And they were gonna talk to the Stark County Community Foundation.
Yeah.
I don't, just because it's Stark County Community Foundation, I don't think they extended to Fort County. I don't know that. But I imagine the Fort County has something like that. Whether or not they'll keep your money for this, I don't know.
I think you once a month have a politician night. I think that's how you get it, that grant.
Dick, I have a question,
Go ahead.
and I just wanna know, because obviously you've been up here, and where would you like to see that go? If it's not on the baseball field?
Well, obviously, this configuration outside, if our goal is to, put more parking in here and take out the playground equipment, that's an expensive process too. And that's one actually that came to my mind right away, because I can see that being beneficial all the way around. This being a parking lot is not going to make the town look bad. It's gonna make it pop more when we got a game here, saying, wow, it's, they got brand new parking there. They're trying to, reduce more congestion around the outside and gear it into what they can do and their availability. And then, I'm not gonna object to stuff like that up in Wanatah.
Right.
I'm just not, because it's still, the picture is still about our kids. It's still about how do we do what we can for them and provide opportunities for the, you got to showcase something. There's no way the Tri-Township without showcasing something is gonna attract kids to come here.
Right,
Chad hit the nail on the head when it's all about attracting kids.
yes, especially now where it's open enrollment.
Absolutely. It's just a whole new game. But I also don't know that if I was sitting with you four guys and I'm the fifth wheel and I know that's your hearts, I may have a different opinion. I just might, so I came in here thinking, that I'm gonna tell you guys something that might be hard, but I just feel that way.
I appreciate
Without you guys, without knowing how you guys feel about
it.
it.
Right,
But I think anytime that, especially now that I work on a budget, I'm also trying to think of how do we help the town?
right,
I wanna work with the town and the community on doing, if it's helping with sidewalks or something like that. We're kind of trying to figure out something right now and get something done over by the Burmar Park and stuff. And I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm like, I wanna be family,
right, right.
but.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's, if I was gonna do it, those are the kind of things I would do, but. I know one thing, Bob, I was impressed by this because I was not expecting this. tonight and you get a look at that. You get a vision in your head, anytime you start getting excited or jacked about something that, you're thinking, wow,
That's why.
that would be elite.
That's why I asked about wood poles and steel poles, because that's the only part of the vision missing in my head.
I got news for you, Ernie, there's other stuff missing in your head.
Yeah, my thing
A
with
lot of
lights,
space in there.
my thing with the lights is also, it's gonna bring money back to town, you know?
It has the potential to.
Yes, absolutely.
Knowing what we spend in the communities that we visit each summer. We were in Hebron for a tournament this summer, and we probably spent $200 a day at Casey's, whatever, gas station or Subway or whatever, just nonstop back and forth, gotta get more Gatorade, gotta get more of this, getting gas in their gas stations. There's potential for businesses in town to make good money throughout the summer. So, with the crossing, in between games, with the crossing, get somebody to pack that place. So there's some potential there for economic impact. I mean, it's not, I don't know the exact number, but there's potential.
I think Jim Shealy shares that vision. I every time I see him out there working, I'm thinking, he's doing it for more than just Jim Shealy. Is he doing it for Jim Shealy? Heck yeah, he is. But it's bigger than that in Jim's mind. And that's cool to know that that's the heart of the man.
I guess,
That he cares about this community.
to me, that's how it is with me. It's not just because I'm a baseball guy, I want lights on the field. It's not about that. It's about what it could bring to this whole community, the economic portion of it. It could bring people here visiting on a travel baseball team or softball team and saying, hey, they have a great facility here. Let's go see if there's houses for sale. Let's bring our kids here. That's something long term. There's greater vision than just.
Wins, because we're fighting a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
Clearly too. That doesn't seem to be helping our cause, so
And
we're looking for the best ways to help our cause.
there's no schools in the conference that have lights on a baseball field, none on a softball field. There's not many even outside of our conference in the area that have it, other than your bigger schools. Caston is the only one I can think of close to here.
Aaron, are you
CNA.
the one that someone came up to you at one of the conferences?
No, it was the assistant, one of the
Commissioner.
assistant commissioner of IHSAA was at our sectional game, talking with Coach Snyder. And I was standing nearby, I
Yeah.
overheard the conversation of, the field's beautiful. If you guys had lights, you'd have the regional. Just,
Yeah,
and it's, yeah, I mean, I take a lot to heart when I hear that, just because I love the place, and I love maintaining it. It's a second home, but I want to see something good for our kids, and not just the baseball and softball kids. There's cross country can go out there and run. There are things for all the kids to do out there. We have it lit. We think we can do it at night for kids that aren't in those sports, not just for those two sports specifically.
Brian, you've been quiet. Wheels are usually turning when you're sitting there. You got anything to add to?
So,
No, I'm kind of, if you gave me $250,000, I could probably give you a list of 10 things I want to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
I could. I think there's a lot of good things, and so.
I can give you 20 right back.
So I think there's a lot of good things we can do with it, and lights, I think, is a good thing. But I think there's other things too that we can look at. I think if we're gonna make this our gym, we gotta do some things in this building to make it better. Parking is definitely something. I think locker rooms, things like that. but I like that light idea. I just, yeah. You give me 250,000 and say spend it, I will definitely find a way to
Yeah,
spend
but
it for our kids.
You and I have done that with all 3 rounds of ESSER money. We've spent each one of them 10 different ways.
Yeah, here you go.
What about this? What about that? Yeah, so I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
Brian, to that point, I think we need to continue looking at, when we talk about 5-year plan, what the next 5 years look like, we need to, of course, hear those things. What are those visions that you have and the costs associated with them, so we can prioritize? Maybe, if we understand that, we understand where your priority, as you said, might be different than Kelly's and Jazz and so forth. We can all weigh our cards on those items and figure out where we should spend those monies if we're gonna spend it.
That's a great idea, just everybody do your top 10, let's start,
Yeah.
tearing this apart.
You just stole my question. To culminate the evening is, what do we do next? And I think that's the answer. The answer came before the question. We need to, again, it comes right back to that 5-year strategic plan. So I think we keep bouncing that document around as a board and include you, Dick, in that as well, because there's so much crossover here with the township. And that'll get us closer, and then we'll pick a date coming up to reconvene and wrestle it around a little bit more.
Is it okay if I give this to Ron
That's fine.
Rosenbaum? Would that be all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Just so I can find out some.
I know this question probably isn't the answer, Bob, but is there a risk of
Thank you.
price increase in the near future of the fixtures?
Everything goes up, I mean, this isn't a double price.
Yeah.
This is gonna be, for the next 10 years, it's gonna be somewhere around $250,000. It might get to 270. If things go really poor, the next year you might be down to 240.
You want that back up?
If you wanted that, you could have it. I don't
No, that went right here real quick, those numbers. Of course I have it.
Okay, so then, I like that plan for the next step on that topic. Playground equipment. Dick, you and I talked on the phone a little bit this morning about that.
Yeah, and when I kind of first heard about it and came up here and looked at it, I thought I could see the nicer piece out here, if I can say it like that. See the nicer piece in between the fields, kind of back where they used to have the shot put throw. I could see it there. And then, Michigan City's 35 minutes away, so there's a lot of time to think sometimes. The students have ticked me off sometimes. So I disregard them and I start thinking about things like that. I see the potential for the playground being even maybe more harm than good out there.
At the fields,
And the reason is because it's isolated and kids, I can see smaller kids going down there, and all of a sudden the playground's not enough. Time to look into what else is out here. And I see that being more of a detriment. Where I think if that, especially the nice piece of equipment went to the town and they could use it over here at the park where it's more high profile and those kids aren't gonna be, looking to get it. I think that's probably, if I owned that piece of equipment and I wanted to benefit someone else or bless them with it, that's probably what I would do. I would probably offer it to the town. And if they didn't want it, I'd probably see if the library. I've never scoped out the library, just the grounds enough to see if that works or not. But I can see that being a natural fit at the library as well. But
Does the board do okay if I shop
Yeah, I have no
around?
objections.
I have
See-
no objections.
Okay. We'll see if we can, see if anyone's interested in any of those entities and go from there on that.
Yeah.
Because when we had that conversation this morning, again, yeah, I've had the last 8 hours to think about the same thing and go, yeah,
I never thought of that. That's,
the best laid plans, now you're attracting kids out there at off hours.
Mhm.
And so it might be a different.
when you live when you live that close to the ballpark like I do, and you've gone out there enough times because that alarm went off and you figured, oh boy, somebody's helping themselves to concessions again. Here we go, you know, and it, because the back one was wired with an alarm, and it was loud, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no way I was gonna hide saying I didn't hear it. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, but sure enough, you go out there and it's like, okay, you probably got enough Gatorade, kid, and Hershey stuck in your pants, let's go. You know, but I just, kids sometimes just a little too curious, but that's just my opinion, it may not be that way at all.
You know, I was thinking, I wonder how many kids actually live over there where it would be
On Evergreen.
accessible. You know what I mean? The majority of kids are probably, you know, over there, over here, you know.
Yeah, the only time there's an abundance of kids is when there's games
Games.
out there. That, if we put that playground equipment out there between the two fields where you were talking, that would take away from room that you could potentially put a third field in.
What about insurance, the insurance?
You could put in a small T-ball field with that moat off with it, ditch now.
You might be able to. Oh, well, I didn't hear what you said, though.
Like insurance, to move, you know, to put that somewhere, they would have to have their own insurance. I mean,
Yeah, there it is.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we have
it's
that.
at the park.
Right. Yeah, we have to carry it for,
Right.
you know, the equipment down here.
Well, I'll talk to those other two entities on that then.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. We have 2 items left to wrap up the meeting for tonight. You guys have had the 2 school improvement plans. If you have any questions, the same guy produced them both. So otherwise, we would like approval for those. We have a deadline with DOE to upload them. They can still be changed.
Sure.
And they are intended to be a living document, but we've got to get them uploaded by October 8th. So item 12 is the high school improvement plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the high school improvement plan.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
And item 13 is the pre-K to 8 school improvement plan.
I make a motion to approve the Wanatah pre-K to 8 school improvement plan.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
Anything on the principal report?
Just real quick from last week, just wanna say, one, thank you to the Wall Across Lions Club. We had 4 guys there cooking, fish for us last week, that fun department. So I wanna thank those guys, Bob Cleveland, I think his name, is that right? Bob Cleveland, and then, Bobby Dungreen, and Craig Egner, and then Darren Brewer. So those were the 4. So I thank them for helping us out with the fish fry. It was definitely a different endeavor that we haven't had before. So it was enjoyable though, and all of our coaches helped out, which was amazing. So
You had fish since that meal, Saturday?
I don't like fish. I hate fish, and I cleaned fish. I did everything with fish except for.
Are you tempted just to take a little bite? Just-
No. In my hands, I think they still smell like fish. So.
So you also don't like the smell of fish?
No.
Brian, can I go back
Last
and
night
ask,
I fried everything that Dave Burton gave me.
Oh, really?
Last vision.
Brian, can I go back and ask one quick question? Like, how we did the bowling with the special needs, and
Mhm.
could we do something like that on the baseball field? That could be another
Yeah.
thing, but.
I mean, that's not one of the sports that they have. I mean, something good.
We sideline the Adam.
Yeah.
To get all those kids out there.
Again, the lighting provides the opportunity for a unified track. Do they have?
Unified track.
Now the other point I like about it is with so many of our kids in dual sports, now you've extended the potential practice times and making it easier for those kids to attend multiple commitments.
I think that would be a neat thing.
I'm hoping that we can get back to unified sports this year.
He loved it.
So,
Yeah.
because we have to partner.
Yeah.
With them. they don't have the student population to be able to do it, so, I'm hoping that COVID
We only
will settle
pulled
down.
twice, but then
I'm
COVID.
hoping that COVID has settled down
Yeah.
enough that before the Laporte Olympics, Laporte County Olympics, we can get with them again.
And I know all those kids loved it. Like,
Yeah.
all those kids that helped out
So,
loved that.
but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Yeah.
And thank that group.
Yeah.
And all the coaches.
Again, I've said this a couple times already early this fall, but I'm really impressed with some of our new people. We say all hands on deck, they're there with belts on, fish fry, you name it. Some of our new hires have really adopted the right mindset, so I've let them know that, and I'm very pleased with that. That's all. That's all we've got.
You know, the cool thing about that is that can spur on people that have become, just dormant. You know, I mean, they can, somebody gets on board and who knows,
That's right.
It's like,
Reignite.
they have a renewing of why they're doing what they do.
That's right. That is true.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm glad I got that in, Ernie.
All in favor?
I
Oh, I got this.
You sure?
Yeah, no, I like this. But, yeah, thank you for your, you bet. Yeah.
Will do.
Anytime you guys,
Appreciate it.
What?
Lights, any update on?
Well, I sent guys a few today.
Oh,